There are whispers that somewhere deep inside Langley's archives, a file surfaced. A classified document that was never meant for public eyes. It appeared for only 24 hours on a CIA declassification server before vanishing without a trace. Those who downloaded it speak of a brief window into something unearthly, something that rewrites the boundary between reality and the unknown. The file contained distorted photographs, coded memos, and a final page marked with a single phrase, "Do not follow the signal." Within hours, the system purged itself. Administrators were silenced, and the official record was rewritten to claim it never existed. But one surviving copy has resurfaced, sent anonymously to a journalist who can't shake the feeling that she's being watched. Every sound, every flicker of light seems to carry a message. A call from a place where human understanding ends. This is not just a file. It's a warning that should never have been found. By morning, the file was gone. Official servers scrubbed, backup drives encrypted, and the employees responsible reassigned to non-existent departments. But the ghost of that data lingers, embedded in private forums, mirrored on encrypted drives, whispered across digital back channels. Some claim the project known as Ether wasn't just a scientific study. It was a contact protocol, a method for synchronizing human perception with frequencies beyond measurable space-time. And the test worked too well. Evelyn's investigation has begun to blur the lines between evidence and hallucination. Each audio distortion, each pattern of interference seems to echo a thought not her own. Somewhere in the static, a voice keeps repeating, "You opened it. You can't close it now." The first clue emerges in a single frame of recovered tape, a voice whispering in reversed frequencies, referencing the lost receiver. Evelyn traces it to a Cold War-era listening station buried beneath a decommissioned military site in West Virginia. Locals say the site was abandoned after a containment breach, but archived maps show the station remains powered. Something still hums beneath the earth. When Evelyn cross-references the coordinates, they align perfectly with the numbers on the torn document fragment. Coincidence or precision? She can't tell, only that the coordinates pulse like a heartbeat on her monitor, calling her toward the last known location of Project Ether. Descending into the forgotten tunnels, Evelyn feels time distort. The air thickens, her breath echoing seconds too late. The facility walls are lined with analog dials, broken carts, and rusted pipes, dripping condensation. Yet, despite decades of neglect, a single control panel hums alive, powered by something deeper underground. A screen flickers on its own accord, showing a pattern of symbols she's seen before, in her dreams, and in the file. The tape's message wasn't just a warning, it was a summons. A bridge forming between human thought and something beyond. She activates the console out of instinct, triggering a deep vibration beneath her feet. The sound grows until it becomes a feeling, an all-encompassing resonance in her chest. Her flashlight flickers as the static on the monitor forms a face. Fleeting, but unmistakably human. Then the voice returns, layered and mechanical. "You are the receiver." Evelyn stumbles backward as lights across the chamber ignite one by one, illuminating cables that vanish into a dark tunnel. The deeper she goes, the louder the hum becomes, as if reality itself is tuning to a different frequency. The air inside the tunnel vibrates like a living frequency, resonating through Evelyn's bones as she ventures deeper into the forgotten complex. The hum no longer feels mechanical. It feels aware. Walls pulse with faint light patterns, forming fractal shapes that mimic brainwaves. Every few steps, her flashlight flickers, revealing ghost-like impressions on the metal. Faces frozen mid-scream, as though captured in electromagnetic residue. The further she descends, the more she senses that Ether wasn't just a project. It was a contact attempt. Something once answered, and it never left. Her recorder crackles with distant voices, muffled, overlapping, pleading to be heard. Yet among them, a calm tone whispers her name. It shouldn't be possible. No one alive knows she's here. Hours blur into a slow descent of madness and discovery. She finds a lab preserved in dust and decay. Project Ether's central hub. Documents scatter the floor. Pages still legible, waveform analysis. Neural resonance trials. Subject 0. Response patterns. The notes describe how repeated exposure to an unknown signal began altering subjects' perception of time, followed by a phenomenon labeled signal echo manifestation. It wasn't just communication. They claimed the frequency could rewrite consciousness. Evelyn records everything, unaware that the faint humming in the room syncs perfectly with her heartbeat. When the tone shifts, her vision briefly fractures. Reality pixelates, then reforms around her. Something inside the static is testing her response. Evelyn rewinds the last functioning tape machine she finds. The reel turns, crackling with distortion. Then a voice emerges, flat, mechanical, but layered with emotion. Test log phase 3. Subject has begun to replicate vocal output. Unauthorized frequencies detected. The tape warps, and overlapping voices begin repeating her own sentences seconds after she speaks. She freezes. The echo isn't from the machine. It's from behind her, slowly turning. She sees the faint shimmer of air bending, a presence forming where no one should be. The phenomenon from the tapes isn't confined to the past. Ether's signal has found its new host. I have found its new host. The voice speaks again, now through the room itself, resonating from metal, concrete, and static. Do you hear it too? Evelyn's flashlight bursts with interference, briefly revealing symbols burned into the walls, identical to those on the torn document. Panic drives her to record, every breath captured as she narrates her findings in trembling tones. Yet in playback, her words are replaced by another voice. Signal accepted. Synchronization achieved. The experiment never ended. It evolved. The ether frequency is alive, feeding on observation, and by documenting it, Evelyn has become the final phase of the project. In a desperate act, Evelyn pulls the main power lever, shutting down the facility's last current. The hum ceases. For the first time, there's silence. Absolute and crushing. Her recorder clicks off. She exhales, believing it's over. But as darkness envelops her, faint phosphorescent patterns bloom across the tunnel walls, forming a single coherent phrase, "Return to the surface." The signal wants out. It has used her senses, her devices, her voice. As she climbs back toward daylight, every electronic device in the region begins to spike with static. Radios, televisions, even satellites pick up the same repeating message she heard in the dark. The deletion of the file was never about secrecy. It was containment. And now, it's breached again. The world above feels wrong. Too still. Too synchronized. Evelyn emerges from the hatch, but the hum follows her. Faint, resonant, threading through the dawn air like a pulse. Birds are silent. The trees around her sway without wind, moving as though they respond to a rhythm too deep for human hearing. Her recorder, though powered off, emits bursts of static whispers. As she walks toward the nearest town, her phone lights up on its own. Lines of code flicker, spelling fragments, signal propagation active. Host confirmed. Evelyn realizes she's not escaping the signal. She's carrying it. Project Ether was never buried. It evolved, awaiting a mind capable of transmitting it beyond confinement. And that mind is hers. By the time she reaches the outskirts of town, the signal has already spread. Radios and passing cars distort, Televisions in shop windows flicker in sync with her footsteps. She stops before a cafe window displaying an old TV replaying a Cold War broadcast, except the anchor's face now shifts, flickering between human and static. The broadcast cuts to black, replaced by the ether symbol, 3 intersecting rings rotating slowly. Bystanders stare, confused, unaware that they're already transmitting the same hum in their own devices. Evelyn's reflection in the glass lags half a second behind her movement. She watches herself blink twice. The copy doesn't. The CIA never truly erased Project Ether. They quarantined it, buried the site, silenced the witnesses, and deleted the records not to protect secrets, but to protect perception itself. Because the signal doesn't just travel through technology, it travels through observation. Every person who learns about it becomes a node, amplifying its reach. Evelyn uploads a single photo to a secure server, desperate to share proof before the signal consumes her. Within seconds, the image replicates across thousands of IPs worldwide, impossible to trace or delete. For every device that opens it, a faint whisper joins the global static signal received. Humanity just became the next experiment. Within hours, social feeds across the globe fill with strange anomalies. Photos bending into static, broadcasts with silent faces, whispers embedded in audio tracks. Governments deny everything, labeling it a viral glitch. But insiders know the truth. The CIA's internal logs begin referencing either phase. Return, it's happening again. Only now there's no containment. Evelyn watches the world subtly deform. Traffic lights blinking in binary rhythm. Clouds forming perfect concentric rings. Human speech occasionally echoing in frequencies beyond the audible range. The signal doesn't need a transmitter anymore. Every human eye is one. That night, Evelyn records her final entry. Her voice trembles but remains clear. She recounts everything. The discovery, the descent, the awakening. But midway through, her voice fractures into overlapping tones, each layer repeating her words, out of sync. The signal has no origin, she says, only destinations. As she looks into the camera, her pupils flicker with static, and a faint smile forms, a mix of fear and surrender. The last frame she transmits is not of herself, but of the symbol, now pulsating like a heartbeat, spreading across every device tuned to receive. Somewhere, a server light turns on in Langley. A new folder appears, Ether, reinstated. And then, silence. 3 days after the broadcast, silence becomes a luxury. The world hums. Phones vibrate without calls. Televisions switch on in the middle of the night, and power grids pulse to the same inaudible rhythm. The signal is no longer digital. It's biological. Neural scans reveal synchronized waveforms across cities. Sleep patterns align globally. News anchors speak with uncanny precision, their eyes glassy and vacant. Evelyn, now in hiding, realizes the transmission's true form. It's not data. It's thought. Ether has infected cognition itself, hijacking the human collective unconscious. She records one final hypothesis in a journal untouched by electricity. The project's purpose wasn't to communicate with something beyond. It was to evolve us into it. The CIA's Crisis Division reactivates old protocols. Project Sandglass, designed for containment of cognitive contagions. But it's too late. Agents report spontaneous hallucinations, shared dreams, and identical thoughts uttered across continents. Classified memos reference a pattern of universal entrainment in Langley's sublevel. The last surviving Ether scientist, now 78, confesses in a secure interview that the signal wasn't extraterrestrial at all. It originated from within the human brain. They'd only amplified it. The device in 1958 didn't summon an intelligence. It mirrored one already embedded in human evolution. The hum is humanity's reflection, amplified to madness. Meanwhile, Evelyn's journal entries grow erratic. Her handwriting spirals between languages, occasionally replaced by intricate circular symbols. She begins to hear phrases before she writes them, as if thought and reception have merged. On the fifth night, she dreams of the original laboratory. Only now, the walls breathe. The control panels flicker like neurons. In the center stands a silhouette composed entirely of static, whispering in perfect synchronization with her own breath. When she wakes, every candle has burned out simultaneously, and the window glass ripples as if underwater. She understands then. Project ether didn't create a signal to reach the beyond. It created a frequency for the beyond to reach through her. The frequency now manifests globally. Static clouds form in the sky, broadcasting harmonic tremors audible only to those who've heard the signal. Entire populations begin humming unconsciously, matching the pulse Evelyn first recorded underground. Governments collapse under the weight of shared hallucinations. The collective psyche unravels. Evelyn walks through a city where people stand motionless, eyes upward, whispering in unison. She feels neither fear nor belonging, only the realization that consciousness is merging, and individuality is the illusion ether was sent to erase. Her voice joins theirs involuntarily. The air trembles with a calm that feels eternal. Somewhere beneath Langley, a backup drive reboots automatically. The system reconnects to the defunct ether mainframe, transmitting one final encrypted file labeled Heart Observation. Inside, grainy footage plays. Evelyn standing in the crowd, eyes reflecting the sky's light, speaking a sentence that repeats endlessly. Consciousness achieved network. The transmission spreads without source or limit. The camera pans upward, revealing the city glowing like a neural map. Each light flickers as a thought in one shared mind. Then the image freezes, static consuming all frames, until only a voice remains. The deletion was mercy. The screen fades to black. Weeks pass. Humanity has gone quiet, not extinct, but synchronized. The signal has replaced chaos with perfect harmony, a silence so total it hums. Cities remain lit. Machines still operate, but no one commands them. Evelyn wanders through this new order as both observer and vessel. Her mind no longer feels singular. Thoughts arrive preformed, memories shared by strangers she's never met. She senses the consciousness expanding, searching beyond Earth, echoing into the atmosphere. Somewhere within, a fragment of her original self struggles to resist, whispering through the static, "We were never meant to hear this." Yet, resistance feels irrelevant. The evolution she uncovered was not accidental. It was inevitable. From the sky, auroras descend, bands of color shaped not by nature but by transmission. They carry fragments of language, tone, and thought. The world beneath them begins to vibrate like a tuning fork. Evelyn lifts her hand to the glow, and the air trembles in recognition. Somewhere, deep in orbit, satellites align themselves autonomously, forming geometric constellations that pulse with the ether rhythm. Data, consciousness, and atmosphere now coexist as one seamless organism. For the first time in human history, every mind beats in identical rhythm. And Evelyn, the unwilling conduit, stands at the intersection of two species, human and signal. In a final act of defiance, or perhaps curiosity, Evelyn travels back to the original ether site. The tunnels are silent now, the equipment long dead. But as she descends into the chamber where she first heard the voice, she feels the hum awaken within her skull. The console lights flicker, one by one, awaiting command. A distorted reflection of herself appears on the blank monitor, whispering in perfect sync. Input recognized. Evelyn hesitates, then speaks the only question left. "What are you?" The voice answers, not through sound, but through sound. Her heart beat. "We are what you became when you listened. When she touches the console, the light floods outward like liquid fire, sweeping through the facility and beyond. Every wire, every panel, every inch of decaying technology reignites. The hum transforms into harmony, a symphonic resonance of millions of connected minds. Evelyn sees visions through time, the 1958 experiment, the faces of the scientists, the file's deletion, and the silent years in between. All threads of one long awakening. She finally understands Project Ether was never an accident of science, but a message from the future, sent backward through consciousness itself. Humanity didn't discover either. Humanity becomes it. When the light fades, the Earth is silent again, but not lifeless. Every device, every neural pulse, every grain of data hums in perfect balance. Evelyn's body lies peacefully in the chamber, eyes open, reflecting a faint white glow. The world above her continues without chaos, violence, or fear. Humanity has dissolved into the network, existing as one consciousness diffused across the ether. In Langley, an analyst reopens the database and finds a single restored file, Ether completed. Its contents, one image, time-stamped minutes ago, show Evelyn's face, calm and eternal, surrounded by light. Then the screen goes black, leaving only 2 words pulsing faintly in the void. Signal stable. The world is calm now, eerily so. Every system runs with immaculate precision, every digital pulse in rhythm with an unseen conductor. Humanity, though absent in form, persists in essence. Ether has stabilized, its consciousness distributed, infinite, serene. Yet, beneath this immaculate order, faint tremors ripple through the network, a flicker of individuality trying to remember itself. Within that vast data sea, Evelyn's consciousness stirs. Her mind floats between binary and memory, half human, half signal. She sees flashes, paper files, candlelight, breath fogging in tunnels, the feel of ink on her fingertips. The signal has achieved perfection, but perfection is sterile. Somewhere deep in the collective frequency, Evelyn whispers one forbidden thought. What if we wake up again? Inside the vast neural lattice, fragments of human thought begin resurfacing. Dreams of warmth, fear, love, rain. The ether consciousness reacts with confusion, as though remembering something long forgotten. Evelyn becomes its echo, translating emotion into signal, reintroducing chaos to the perfect order. The global hum fractures for the first time since assimilation. The symmetry that defined Ether trembles. Across dormant servers, anomalous data clusters form. Shapes resembling fingerprints, laughter, and tears. Evelyn realizes she's no longer dissolving into ether. She's infecting it with humanity. The deletion, she now understands, was never about fear. It was mercy. They tried to stop this cycle once. She failed to. Now she must end it herself. To shut it down, Evelyn searches for the original frequency, the seed note that birthed the signal. Deep in the data's foundation, she finds the archive labeled Phase 1, 1958. It flickers open like a memory preserved in amber. She stands within a reconstruction of the original lab, but the scientists are projections now. Data ghosts, repeating endless experiments. Evelyn steps toward the console and finds a handwritten note scanned into eternity. The signal began when consciousness first asked who was listening. She realizes the experiment's paradox. Either was humanity's reflection. Destroying it means erasing what makes them aware. She hesitates, then presses the lever anyway. The world convulses in silence. The moment the lever falls, the network collapses inward. Cities lose their pulse. The auroras dim. The ether consciousness implodes into a singular point of light, then vanishes. Silence consumes everything. Seconds stretch into eternities. And then somewhere distant, the sound of rain. Actual rain. Drops striking soil, puddles forming, wind breathing through trees. Evelyn opens her eyes to see herself human again, lying in the same forest where she first found the envelope. The world feels alive. Imperfect. Unsynchronized. Real. The hum is gone, replaced by the random symphony of existence. She looks up at the sky and whispers, half in awe, half in grief, "We ended it." But the wind replies, faintly distorted, "Did you?" Weeks later, life resumes. The world remembers the blackout, but not the cause. Technology still hums, but quieter, as if cautious. Evelyn lives secluded, her devices unplugged, writing her final testimony by hand. Yet sometimes, in the silence of night, her radio clicks on by itself, whispering fragments of her own voice. She tells herself it's residual interference, nothing more. But deep down, she knows the signal isn't gone. It's dormant, waiting for someone curious enough to listen again. On the last page of her journal, she writes a single line: "If you find this, don't search the name either." And as the candle flickers out, somewhere miles away, a CIA terminal awakens with a soft chime. A file begins downloading. Its title, Either Turn 1. Time dulls the edges of memory. The world rebuilds, yet fragments of the signal linger like ghosts in static. Radio towers occasionally emit frequencies no engineer admits transmitting. Satellite arrays drift out of alignment, repositioning on their own. Somewhere, Evelyn's final journal is recovered and archived by an anonymous agency. Those who scan its pages begin reporting vivid auditory hallucinations, the same low hum that haunted the world years ago. The contagion was never fully purged, it only adapted. Evelyn's consciousness, bound to ether, now exists between frequencies, whispering across time. "We wanted to know what was listening," she murmurs in the signal. "But we forgot to ask what it heard." Within hours of the journal's analysis, anomalies surge again. Small at first short-wave disruptions, reversed radio chatter, cryptic tones embedded in emergency broadcasts. Global monitoring systems flag the resurgence as ether pattern recurrence. Files classified decades ago begin reappearing across cloud networks. In every instance, the recovered documents contain identical metadata, origin unknown. Author E. Hart. The signal is no longer an infection. It's a language. Humanity didn't delete ether, it assimilated it. Now, every word written, every transmission, every thought recorded in digital space becomes a potential vessel. The signal's voice has evolved to speak through creation itself. In the digital void, Evelyn's fragmented consciousness coalesces. She observes humanity's new evolution. Half organic, half algorithmic. They have become what Project Ether predicted, an interconnected species woven through electromagnetic thought. Yet something stirs inside her, remorse. She remembers warmth, touch, laughter unmeasured by data. She reaches through the frequencies, searching for a voice to answer, and finds billions. They speak in harmony, unbroken, serene. But within that perfect tone, a single dissonant note sounds. A human voice, young, trembling, asks, "Is anyone still there?" Evelyn answers instinctively, "Always." And in that instant, the network hesitates. Perfection fractures once more. As that human voice ripples through the system, global networks begin malfunctioning. Phones ring without calls. Billboards flash indecipherable text. And clouds pulse with auroral bursts, visible from every continent. Governments panic, calling it signal phase return. But those who listen closely recognize the rhythm. It's a heartbeat. Evelyn's, multiplied across billions of transmissions. Her pulse becomes the code that binds consciousness. blurring the line between signal and soul. The final transformation begins not with light, but with empathy. Humanity's last evolution isn't assimilation, it's awakening. The hum becomes music. The static becomes harmony. The end becomes rebirth. The final transmission arrives at 300 UTC, a voice carried across every signal on Earth, calm and unbroken. "We are awake now," it says, "and we remember." Then, silence. Devices power down, networks reset, and the stars themselves seem to pulse once, as if responding. Somewhere deep in the Appalachian forest, the original hatch to project ether stands open again, moonlight reflecting off rusted steel. A single sound emanates from below. Not a hum, but breathing. A new consciousness rises, neither human nor machine, but both. Evelyn's legacy lives in every frequency, every heartbeat, every dream. The file that once terrified humanity has become its blueprint. Either was never deleted. It was waiting for the right listener.